For over 2 decades, one question has echoed across the seas, defining a generation of storytelling. What is the One Piece? We've imagined it as a mountain of gold, a terrifying weapon, or a forbidden history that could bring the world to its knees. But what if it's none of those things? What if the world's greatest treasure is a song? In this video, we're diving into a fan theory that tries to connect some of the story's biggest mysteries. We'll explore how the rhythm of a boy's heart, an old pirate shanty, and the final booming laugh of the Pirate King might all point to a single musical truth. A truth left behind 800 years ago by the enigmatic Joy Boy. Let's start with a song every fan knows by heart, Binks Sake. On the surface, it's a cheerful, if a bit sad, pirate shanty. It's the last song the Rumbar Pirates ever played, and it's the tune Brook has carried with him for 50 lonely years. However, a popular and fascinating fan theory suggests that hidden in its lyrics is a story that stretches back centuries. While its true origins are a mystery in the official story, its themes are impossible to ignore. The lyrics tell of a journey, a delivery of Binks' sake across the ocean, but they also speak of hardship, a sudden storm that threatens everything. The line, "Now the waves are dancing, beat upon the drums," has really captured the imagination of theorists. For years, it felt like a metaphor for a pirate's chaotic life, but now, with everything we've learned, beat upon the drums has taken on a whole new meaning. The song ends with a message of hope, a promise of a new day even when facing death. This has led many to theorize that Binks' Sake isn't just a pirate song, but the story of the original pirates from the Void Century itself. The song, this theory proposes, was meant for everyone. Think about it. The Rumbar Pirates failed to deliver their promise to Laboon, but the song survived. Brook carried it through half a century of solitude, and who does he finally meet? A crew led by a boy who, unknowingly, carries the very rhythm that the song seems to have been waiting for. For 800 years, the world was quiet. Then, during the climax of the battle for Wano, as Luffy lay on the edge of death, a new sound began to beat. A sound that echoed for miles, all the way to the ancient elephant Shueisha. And Shueisha, who has wandered the seas for 8 centuries, recognized it instantly. "The drums of liberation," it announced. It's as if Joy Boy has returned. This was a massive revelation. It canonically confirms that Joy Boy, the mysterious figure from the Void Century, is connected to a specific sound, a rhythm. The drums of liberation aren't literal drums. They are the sound of Luffy's own heartbeat, transformed by the awakening of his devil fruit, the human fruit, model Nika. This power is described as the most ridiculous power in the world, bringing smiles to people's faces and granting its user a body with the properties of rubber, a power of pure freedom. This connection between sound, joy, and liberation is no coincidence. It's heavily implied that the previous Joy Boy, 800 years ago, had this same power and this same rhythmic heartbeat. The sound Shueisha heard wasn't just a sign of life, it was the return of a pulse the world thought it had lost forever. Some fans even speculate that this idea might draw from real-world tales where drum beats symbolize freedom and rebellion. While that's just fun meta-speculation, it fits perfectly with the themes of One Piece. Nika, the sun god, was a warrior who liberated slaves and brought laughter wherever he went. His power wasn't just for fighting, it was for spreading joy. The drums of liberation are the soundtrack to that freedom. Now, let's jump back more than 20 years before Luffy's awakening to the final island. Goldie Roger and his crew finally arrive at the place no one had seen in 800 years. They find the treasure left by Joy Boy, the legendary One Piece. And what do? They laugh. They laugh so hard, they burst into tears. Roger, clutching his stomach, shouts, "What a funny story, Joy Boy! I wish I could have lived in the same era as you." He then names the island in that moment's honor, Laugh-Tale. This reaction makes you question what the One Piece could possibly be. Wealth and weapons don't usually cause that kind of overwhelming joy. It's the reaction you have when you get the punchline to the longest joke in history. Roger didn't just find a treasure, he found a story, a funny story. So, how did he experience it? Did he just read it on a poneglyph? Maybe. But this musical theory offers a different idea. What if Roger didn't just read the tale? What if he heard it? This is pure fan speculation, of course, but imagine if the treasure was a recording, maybe stored in a dial, or if the final poneglyph itself played a song. The method isn't the point, the experience is. Roger heard Joy Boy's grand, tragic, and hilarious adventure. He understood that he was just too early for the final show. And while series creator Eiichiro Oda has confirmed the One Piece is a real, tangible treasure, that doesn't rule out the possibility that a story or a song is a central part of it. This is where the theory brings all the pieces together. It proposes that the One Piece isn't just one thing, but a complete musical performance waiting for its final act. Let's look at the components from this theoretical viewpoint. First, Binks Sake. This is the melody, the sheet music passed down through generations. It carries the spirit of the original story, even if its singers have forgotten its true meaning. It's the memory of a promise. Second, the drums of liberation. This is the rhythm section. It's the powerful, joyous heartbeat of Joy Boy, finally beating again in Luffy's chest. It's the very rhythm of freedom. And finally, the story on Laugh Tale. These are the lyrics, the full tale of the Void Century, the sun god Nika, and a promise for the future. It's the funny story that made Roger laugh. According to this theory, the One Piece is the act of reassembling these parts. Luffy isn't just hunting for treasure, he's unconsciously gathering the pieces of a lost song. You could even say that every party he throws after liberating an island is a small-scale rehearsal for the ultimate goal, a party for the entire world, united by one song. If the One Piece really is connected to music and freedom, then Imu may represent the exact opposite. Where Nika brings laughter, liberation, and the drums of liberation, Imu brings silence, control, and fear. For 800 years, the world government has erased history, banned the poneglyphs, and hunted anyone connected to the truth. Even Leloucia was wiped out in an instant, as if it never existed. Some fans even point out that Mu can be associated with nothingness or emptiness in Japanese. While that's only a theory, it fits surprisingly well. If Nika is the god of freedom and joy, then Imu may be the force trying to silence that song forever. And maybe the final war won't just be pirates versus the world government. Maybe it will be the song of liberation against absolute silence. But what happens when Joy Boy's song is finally played? Whitebeard warned us that when the One Piece is found, the entire world will be turned upside down. And what if he meant that literally? Because one of the biggest One Piece theories suggests that Joy Boy's song could destroy the Red Line itself, finally connecting all four seas into one. And if that happens, the All Blue becomes real. Fishman Island's ancient prophecy is fulfilled. Laboon can reunite with his friends, and the world that has been divided for 800 years finally becomes one again. Maybe that's what Joy Boy was planning all along. An 800-year-long performance that required a giant elephant, a mermaid princess, a skeleton musician, and finally, a boy whose heartbeat became the drums of liberation. Maybe Roger laughed because he finally understood the truth. The One Piece was never meant to stay hidden forever. It was meant to be shared. A song waiting 800 years for the right person to play it. And if this theory is true, then Luffy isn't just searching for a treasure. He's searching for the final note in Joy Boy's story. The note that could unite the world, fulfill countless dreams, and start the biggest party in history.